Hello and welcome. This is Gwen. Let's talk about patch 12.22 notes, the latest patch of November for League of Legends, the first preseason patch. League of Legends patch 12.22 notes have finally been revealed as the latest and most significant update to the game in a while. Preseason 2023 is finally here, bringing tons of changes to core game mechanics, including the return of Chemtech Dragon, accompanied by a new Chemtech Rift, three new durable jungle companions, seven new items, and tons of new skins for players to enjoy. Let's take a small dive into what is coming and waiting us in Season 13. First, we are going to start with the champions buffs. And the by far the easiest to digest changes will be buffs to Shogath, Lilia, Nunu, and Rakan. Shogath is receiving a flat 200 bonus damage on his ultimate ability if he chooses to use it on minions, pets, or monsters. This will bring his ability in line with the increased evolved smite damage from junglers to allow him to continue to munch away at important objectives. Similar to Shogath, Nunu and Willem's Q ability Consume will receive buffs to its non-champion damage, capping at 1200. Both Rakan and Lilia will be changed from being ranged champions to being melee in patch 12.22. This opens up a vast array of possibilities for them, including an earlier minion execute on the support items and increased benefits from purchasing certain items like Demonic Embrace. Most items have an effect debuff for ranged champions. Additionally, Lilia receives increased health growth per level and an increased healing effect on her passive in exchange for slightly reduced base health, going from 625 to 605. Overall, those are massive buffs for those two champions, no matter which role they are played on, and open up new possibilities for them. Conquer top lane, Lilia, anyone? And now let's start with the return of the Chemtech. After its swift removal from the game shortly after release, Chemtech Drake will make a triumphant return come Season 13, making summoners that manage to take it down more durable in fights, as well as changing the entire map with new blast cones, tasty fruit, and much more. When you manage it to take down a Chemdrake, your team will gain stacking buff, granting them 5% tenacity as well as 5% heal and shield power. Upon receiving the Chemtech Soul, players will receive a buff that gives them 10% flat damage resistance as well as a 10% bonus to their damage output while below 50% health, granting them massive team fight and outplay potential in other close fights. The Chemtech Rift, similar to its other variants, fundamentally changes the map and bringing some additional variants to each and every game played. Honey fruits, usually found spawning by the river, will now grant a bonus shield on top of their usual healing effects and will no longer slow champions trying to pick them up. Blast cones come overcharged and launching players, triggering them twice as far as before. One can only imagine the possibilities opening up with that. The last change Chemtech Rift brings is in regards to the Scryer's Bloom, granting buffs to allied champions standing behind the revealed area and taking down enemy wards to 1 HP, making vision far easier to remove efficiently. Now we have the jungle changes. The jungle is seeing a complete overhaul in preseason from changes to camp clears, gold, and XP, the Rift Scuttlers, Argo, and much more. We have compiled the most important changes. In terms of camps, the entire jungle got its own little durability update, Riot's goal with this update are to make it more of an investment for laners to take jungle camps, especially in the early game, keeping fast clear speeds fast while making slow clearers slightly less slow by shifting jungle DPS into companions and shifting some gold as well as experience from the jungle itself into the new jungle items. Inexperienced junglers will find learning how to jungle a lot easier now, with every camp now granting the heal only gromp used to give and making counter jungling a bit less enticing. Additionally, both a new visual leash indicator will be added telling you exactly how far you may kite a certain camp before it resets, and beginner friendly pathing recommendations will be shown to players similar to the item systems we have seen in the last preseason. Rift Scuttler's shield has also been removed and their spawn time adjusted to 3:30 to help slower clearing junglers to be able to contest that valuable baby Rift heralds. Mind you, this will also allow very fast clearing junglers to potentially get a gank in before it spawns. Overall, more champions will be able to jungle effectively and in their full clears with a lot more HP than before, while making aggressive counter jungling strategies a bit less oppressive, especially for newer and inexperienced junglers. This is quite the perfect time to try out jungling if you haven't yet. Then we have jungle companions. One of, if not the most exciting change to the jungle will be a rework of jungle items. Here are the jungle companions. Instead of simply changing those around, players that choose Smite as their summoner spell are now able to purchase companions from the shop that act as jungle items and follow you around. They will grow and evolve as you progress into the game, getting monster and champion takedowns, getting stronger over the course of a game, and giving you various buffs and effects, as well as making your smite stronger, capped at 1200. Companions will attack camps similar to Kindred, W, or Elise spiders and heal their owner for 70% of the damage they deal. They also increase their owner's mana regeneration speed while in the jungle. There are currently 3 companions to choose from. The first one that will be introduced is Miss Stomper. Miss Stomper's courage gain is 75 to 330 based on level, health, shield after killing a monster camp or after 10 seconds out of combat. This shield will remain indefinitely. Players will gain 20% tenacity and slow resist while the shield is present and for 3 seconds after it has been broken. Then we have protection buff. Take 30% reduced damage from monsters while at least 2 allies are within 1300 units. The next one we have is Scorch Claw. Scorch Claw's slash will accumulate ember stacks at a rate of 3 stacks per zero point 0.5 seconds or 100 stacks upon killing a large monster. At 100 ember stacks, your next instance of damage against an enemy champion will slow all enemies in a 250 unit radius by 30%, decaying over 2 seconds, and deal burn damage equal to 5% of the target's maximum health in true damage over 4 seconds to primary target. Protection buff takes 30% reduced damage from monsters while at least 2 allies are within the 1300 units. The next one we have is Gustwalker. Gustwalker's gate gain 45% bonus move speed when entering a brush that decays over 2 seconds after leaving the brush. This increased to 60% for 2 seconds after killing a large monster. Then we have the protection buff that's a take 30% reduced damage from monsters while at least 2 allies are within 1300 units. Carry your new furry friends into the jungle, feed and raise them well, and they will in turn help you carry more games. We are looking forward to new companions eventually, but those 3 will have to do for now. The next thing we have is the item changes. Riot has blessed us with 7 new items to play around and theory crafts with, and has changed lots of older items around as well, focusing a lot on tank items. The best possible paths and strategies have yet to be uncovered, but there is a rundown of all the newcomers and changes. The first one we have here is Jack Shaw's The Protean. Become an unkillable monstrosity over the course of a fight. The first thing we have is the gold cost of 3000, then health 400, armor 30, magic resist 30, ability haste 20, build path Aegis of the Legion plus Kindle Gem plus Ruby Crystal. Then we have passive, which is the Voidborn Resilience. For each second in champion combat, gain a stack granting 2 armor and MR up to 8 max. At max stacks, become empowered instantly, draining enemies around you for 3% of your max health, reduced to 30% against minions and monsters, and increasing your resists by 10% until the end of combat. Then we have Mythic Passive, grants all other legendary items at 5 armor and 5 magic resistance. The next one we have is the Unspoken Parasite. This is the Oran upgraded version of Jack Shaw the Protean. Health is at 550, armor is at 40, magic resist is at 40, ability haste at 25, and then we have passive Voidborn Resilience. Passive is identical to base version. Gold cost at 3000, health at 400, armor at 30, magic resist at 30, ability haste at 20. Then we have build path at Aegis of the Legion plus Kindle Gem plus Ruby Crystal. Then we have passive Guiding Light. Upon casting your ultimate, you transcend, increasing your max health by 10% for 9 seconds. While transcended, you and allies within 1200 range of you gain 15 non-ultimate ability haste and heal for 1% of your max health every 3 seconds, increased by up to 100% based on the champion's missing health. Then we have 60 seconds cooldown. Then we have Mythic Passive, grants all other legendary items 100 health. The next one we have is Primordial Dawn. This is the Oran upgraded version of Radiant Virtue. The first one we have here is health at 550, armor at 40, magic resist at 40, ability haste at 25. Then we have passive Guiding Light. Passive is identical to base version. Next one we have is Heartsteel. Grow into a Goliath that towers over foes and pummels the opposition. Gold cost at 3200, health at 800, health regen at 200%, ability haste at 20, build path at Kindle Gem plus Crystalline Bracer plus Giant's Belt. Then we have passive at Colossal Consumption. Charge up a powerful attack against a champion over 3 seconds while within 700 range of them. The charged attack deals 125 plus 6% of your max health as bonus physical damage and grants you a 10% of that amount as permanent max health. 30-second cooldown per target. Then we have the Mythic Passive, grants all other legendary items 1% bonus health and 6% champion size. The next one we have is Leviathan. This is the Oran upgraded version of Heartsteel. Health at 1050, health regen at 300%, ability haste at 25, and then we have passive Colossal Consumption. Passive is identical to base version. The next one we have is Iceborne Gauntlet, formerly known as Frostfire Gauntlet. Control the battlefield and cripple the opposition. The first thing we have is gold cost that went from 2800 up to 3000. Health went down from 450 down to 400. Armor went up from 25 to 50. Magic resist went from 25 to 0. Ability haste went it's unchanged actually because it stays at 20. The build path, Bami's Cinder plus Null Magic Mantle plus Cloth Armor. That went to Sheen Kindle Gem plus Chain Vest. Passive Spell Blade. After using an ability, your next attack is enhanced with an additional 100% base AD physical damage and creates a frost field for 2.5 seconds. Enemies that move across the field are slowed by 15% plus 0.004% bonus health, halved for ranged users. Your primary target is crippled, applying to 100% stronger slaw on them and reducing their damage by 10% against you for 2.5 seconds, 1.5 second cooldown. Then we have Mythic Passive, grants all other legendary items 50 health and 5% tenacity and 5% slow resist. The next item we have is the Frozen Fist. This is the or an upgraded version of Iceborne Gauntlet. Health is at 550, armor is at 70, ability haste 25, passive Spellblade. Passive is identical to base version. The next item we have here is Rod of Ages. The one you've all been waiting for, an old friend returns to help you scale into the late game. Gold cost at 3200, ability power at 60, health at 300, mana at 400, build path, Catalyst of Eons plus Blasting Wand plus Amplifying Tomb. Then we have passive, and this item gains 20 health, 20 mana, and 4 ability power every minute, up to 10 times for a maximum of 200 health, 200 mana, and 40 ability power. Upon reaching max stacks, gain a level, and all effects of eternity are increased by 50%. Note this will not increase the level cap of 18. Unique passive, which is the eternity, restore mana equal to 8% of pre-mitigation damage taken from champions, and health equals to 20% of mana spent up to 15 health per cast. Toggled abilities can only heal for up to 15 per second. For every 250 health or mana restored this way, gain 25% decaying move for 2 seconds. Then we have Mythic Passive, grants all other legendary items 5 ability haste. The next item we have on the list here is Infinite Conversions. This is Oran upgraded version of Road of Ages. The ability power is 80, health at 450, mana at 550, passive, unique passive, eternity passives are identical to base version. Catalyst of Eons, which is the next item we have, returning alongside Road of Ages as a one-stop shop for health and mana, sustain during laning phase. Gold cost at 1100, health at 225, mana at 300. Build path, which is Ruby Crystal plus Sapphire Crystal, unique passive Eternity Restore, mana equal to 8% of pre-mitigation damage taken from champions, and health equal to 20% of mana spent up to 15 health per cast. Toggled abilities can only heal for up to 15 per second. The next item we have is the Abyssal Mask. Abyssal Mask is a niche item that has struggled to find its way into builds, returning Catalyst and its Eternity passive should make it a solid option for those looking for a combination of magic resist, mana, and health. Gold cost went from 2,700 up to 3,000, then health went from 450 up to 500, mana went from 0 to 300, magic resist went from 35 to 40, ability haste is unchanged at 10, build path, Kindle Gem plus Spectre's Call, that went to Catalyst of Aeons plus Spectre's Call. New passive Eternity, restore mana equal to 8% of pre-mitigation damage taken from champions, and health equal to 20% of mana spent up to 15 health per cast. Toggled abilities can only heal for up to 15 per second. Passive Unmake, Curse nearby enemy champions, reducing their magic resist by 5 plus 1.2% bonus health, max at 25. For each cursed enemy, gain 9 magic resists. Randuin's Omen. Randuin's critical damage reduction being tied to the active has led to a less satisfying and less reliable version of the item. We are returning the reduction to its passive, the active to its longer slow, all while retaining the new rock solid passive. Gold cost went from 2,700 up to 3,000, health went from 250 up to 400, armor went from 90 down to 60, ability haste went from 10 to 0. Build path, Warden's Mail plus cloth armor plus ruby crystal was changed actually to Warden's Mail plus Giant's Belt. Then we have the active humility, briefly slow nearby enemies by 55%, and that is for 2 seconds, so a 60 seconds cooldown. And then we have the passive, which is critical resistance. Critical strikes deal 20% less damage to you. Passive rock solid, reducing incoming damage from attacks by up to 5 plus 0.35, capped at 40% of attacks damage. The next item we have here is Sunfire Aegis. While it's no longer a mythic item, Sunfire is still your go-to option for wave clear and sustain damage as a tank. Item tier, Mythic went to Legendary. Gold cost went from 3,200 down to 2,800. The health went from 450 down to 400. Armor went from 35 up to 50. Magic resist went down from 35 to 0. Ability haste from 20 to 0. Build path, Bami's Cinders plus Aegis of the Legion, that went to Bami's Cinder plus Chain Vest. This one was removed, the unique passive Flame Touch. Flame Touch has been removed, the passive Immolate. Immolate damage is no longer increased by 150% against monsters. The next item we have is Turbo Chemtank. Rather than a jungle-specific rush item, Chemtank should now be a possible mid to late game option for any tank looking for an extra bit of engage potential. Item tier went from Mythic to Legendary. Gold cost went from 3,200 down to 2,800. Health went from 450 to 500, and then magic resist went from 25 to 50. Armor went from 25 to 0. Ability haste went from 20 to 10. Build path, Bami Cinders plus cloth armor plus magic mantle went to Kindle Gem plus Negatron Clock plus Ruby Crystal. The one that was removed is the passive Refuel. Refuel passive has been removed completely. The next thing we have here is Aegis of the Legion. Just a small gold adjustment for Aegis. That went from, the gold cost went from 1,400 down to 1,200. The next one we have is Ravenous Hydra. Great for add melee champions looking to carry their teams with damage. Attack damage went from 70 down to 65. Unique passive cleave, 60 to 12% total AD based on distance, went to 60% of total AD for melee champions and 30% of total AD for ranged champions to all enemies around them. New. Unique passive carnivorous gain, 0.6 AD and 0.1% Omnivamp on minion kills, increased to twice that amount for champions, large epic monsters and siege minions. Stacks up to 24 AD and 4% Omnivamp, lose half of these stacks on death. The next item we have is Tiamat. Updating Cleave's damage to be more in line with the new Ravenous Hydra. Unique passive cleave is 60 to 12% total AD based on distance, went to 50% of total AD for melee champions and 25% of total ADs for ranged champions to all enemies around them. The next item we have is Spear of Shojin. Shojin is back. Become the AD caster you've always wanted to be. Gold cost is at 3400, attack damage at 65, health at 300, ability haste at 20, unique passive Dragon Force. Non-ultimate spells gain an extra 8 plus 8% bonus AD ability haste for melee champions, and 6 plus 6% bonus AD ability haste for ranged champions, reduced to 4, and 4% bonus AD ability haste for melee champions, 3 plus 3% bonus AD ability haste for ranged, 4 spells with immobilizing effects. Then we have the unique passive, which is Excellency. Gain up to 15% melee, 10% ranged move speed based on your percentage of missing health, maxed out while below 33% health. Build path, which is at BF Sword plus Kindle Gem plus Cloudfield's Warhammer. The next item we have here is the Navori Quick. Navori's was a bit too niche of an item in its previous form, resulting in it often being skipped over. We are adjusting it so that it competes with Infinity Edge as a build defining item, trading DPS for stronger spells and lower cooldowns. Note, this item cannot be built with Gwynsaw's Rage Blade or Infinity Edge. Ability Haste went from 30 to 20. New unique passive Transcendence. If you have at least 60% critical strikes chance, your attacks reduce your non-ultimate ability cooldowns by 15% of their remaining cooldown. New unique passive Impermanence. Your ability deal up to 20% increased damage based on critical strike chance. And now, to summarize, what we listed today is far from everything the new preseason has to offer. Many changes are being made to pings, vision specific, ward tracking, and the report system, ranked queues, and so much more. As with every preseason, League of Legends will change and transform at its core, providing much needed variety between seasons for players to uncover new strategies, build paths, and ways to enjoy the game in their own way. There is always a lot to get your head around this time of the year, but if they didn't, the game would quickly become quite stale. As Kha'Zix says, change is good. We will, of course, keep updating you about the new preseason patches and plan to release more videos in the future, going in depth about new and upcoming game mechanics. For now, with ranked queues not mattering as much and days getting shorter, go play some normals, enjoy the game with friends, experiment around, and focus on what the game is really about, having fun. And that's it for this patches update. For more information about the latest updates for your favorite champions, please join us at Rift School. Until next time, bye!